Good morrow, lovely little ghosts. In every generation there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer. But this is Lara, and you're watching her Buffy the Vampire Slayer inspired series.
As was said in my intro, this is part of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series that I'm putting together on my channel. Today's installment will be me counting down my top 20 favorite Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. My first installment, in celebration of the 20th reunion, will be me counting down my top 20 Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. Number 20, Out of Sight, Out of Mind, also known as Invisible Girl. This episode was amazing. Before I get started, let me say, if you have not seen the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that I'm talking about, fair warning, there may be spoilers. But I'm hoping that you've seen all of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because it's amazing. If you haven't, you should. But if you're just curious about the show, and you don't mind spoilers, keep watching, and I'll explain a little bit about each episode, and you can kind of get a feel of what different things are about. Maybe I'll encourage you to go watch the show. But I'm just assuming everyone watching by now has seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because it's 22 years old now. I myself am a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, as you will find out throughout this installment. So number 20 is Out of Sight, Out of Mind, also known as Invisible Girl. The original working title was Invisible Girl, and it basically tells you the plot of the episode. A girl named Marcy was so ignored in high school that she literally disappeared, and she was really vengeful against the popular students, and it all just kind of plays out from there, and it's a really beautiful episode, and it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger, so that's my number 20 pick. Number 19 is actually two episodes, but they tie in together, and that's Gangland and The Wish. The Wish came first, and it's actually when the character Cordelia wishes that Buffy Summers had never come to Sunnydale, and a demon grants her wish, and then we see this alternate reality where Willow's a vampire and Xander's a vampire, and it's just like really cool. And I love Vampire Willow so much. So Doppelgangland, Vampire Willow comes to the Sunnydale that we know, and we get to see Vampire Willow interacting with the Scooby Gang and contrasting it all in her perspective, and it's just so cute. And Allison Hannigan did an amazing job playing these two characters, and I just love it. I absolutely love this episode. I love both of them. And I feel like they go together, so they share my number 19 slot. Number 18 is Normal Again. Normal Again is one of those like really meta episodes, and Buffy gets attacked by a demon and then starts imagining that she's in an insane asylum. And there's a lot of theories that go along with this episode. And because there's a lot of theories that go along with this episode, it's really intriguing. But basically, Buffy starts to think that maybe the whole vampire slayer and fighting demons and having a mysterious sister and all of this stuff is not really real, and she's just in an asylum and her parents are there, and it's just a really cool callback, and I really enjoyed it. Like, just one of those episodes that sticks with you and really makes you think. For number 17, I'm clumping together two Halloween episodes, both Halloween and Fear Itself, even though they're totally different. I'm putting them in the same slot because they're both very Halloween oriented. In Halloween, Buffy and her friends get turned into their costumes. So the rough, tough vampire slayer gets turned into a meek, princessy, duchess kind of character with a gorgeous dress that I really want to make. It's so pretty. But that's beside the point. But it's really cool, and once again, Allison Hannigan blew me out of the water with this character, and And one thing that they were doing when they were first introducing Seth Green's character is that every time that Willow passed in front of Oz, he would say, "Who is that girl?" Or like ask people who she was. And that was just like so sweet in my mind. So amazingly sweet, and I love those parts. And with Fear itself, instead of the people becoming their costumes, the house that they were in came to life because they had accidentally summoned a demon of fear. So all of like the plastic skeletons and fake spider webs became real skeletons and real spider webs, and it's really creepy. And the house like boarded itself up, and it was just all out scary, but in a good way. Number 5 on my list is actually from season 7, and that is Conversations with Dead People. This episode, I loved everything about it. I loved the music, I loved the plot, I loved the way that it was filmed, where we were jumping from conversation to conversation. I loved the writing on it, and I especially loved the title. Conversations with Dead People is exactly what it sounds like. Blue by Aggie Hart played at the beginning, and I was instantly captivated. That's one of the songs that's on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack, which I listened to constantly for a very long time. And I still know every word to every song that was on that CD. But in Conversations with Dead People, it's literally conversations with dead people. You get different main characters talking to people that they knew in the past that are now dead. It's either they're channeling through someone to talk to the person, or for example, Buffy talks to a vampire, and it's a vampire that she once knew. Like, it all is really beautifully done. And this goes on my favorites list because of the way that it was shot, and the way that the frames are put together, and all of the effects. I love it. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful episode. It's a very beautiful episode that really helped tie things in. So my number 16 is Conversations with Dead People. Number 15 is Buffy vs. Dracula. This episode is so funny. Like, it's one of the funniest episodes of Buffy in my opinion. Rudolph Martin plays Dracula, and if you don't know, he also plays Dracula in a movie about the real Dracula. I can't remember the name of it right now. I think it might actually just be called Vlad the Impaler. I don't know. I'll put a picture. But yeah, that movie, the movie that I just did the picture of, that's the movie that he's also Dracula in. And he's a beautiful Dracula. And he did such a good job. He added humor to the character while still keeping that creepy vibe. And the beginning of the episode is so hilarious. The whole episode is hilarious, but the beginning with Xander in the graveyard is just, it's funny. It's all funny. But in addition to Rudolph Martin being the best Dracula ever, the episode itself is hilarious and good, and it's borderline cheesy, but not really, and it's really, really fun. It goes, basically this episode takes all of the like traditional vampire lore and explains why it doesn't always apply to Buffy vampires, and it's a real fun twist on everything. Number 14 is Band Candy. And Band Candy is also a very funny episode. I really like the quirkier, funnier episodes of anything that I watch. But Band Candy is where the students sell candy for the band, even if they're not in band. And the candy makes older people act like children or act like teenagers. And it's just really funny. Buffy's mom and her watcher Giles both act like teenagers, and that's just really, really funny, like just seeing that dynamic. My number 13 pick is more of a serious episode. Number 13 is Lie to Me. This is a more serious episode. It deals with one of Buffy's friends from her old high school coming to spend some time with her, and then we find out he has a different plan for everything. We find out that he knows that Buffy's the Slayer, and then later we find out that he's part of a group that basically worships vampires. And I'm not going to give everything away with this episode because It's one of those really shocking episodes that if you haven't seen it, you have to actually watch it and get the full effect to understand how impactful it is. But I think it's a good episode. I think it's a sad episode, and it's just one you have to watch for yourself. Number 12 has a duo slot as well. I'm gonna put The Witch and Gingerbread in its own slot, because even though they don't really tie in together, they deal with the same issue. With The Witch, which was in season 1, we're introduced to Amy Madison and her mother Catherine. We get the building block for what Amy's to become later. So in Gingerbread, these 2 children are found dead, and it's blamed on witchcraft. And because it's blamed on witchcraft, and because Willow and Amy both dabble in witchy ways, and Buffy's just weird by normal people standards, they are treated like witches, and these children's spirits turns out to be something else, but their spirits are talking the adults into basically starting an angry mob against these teenagers. You also have to stick a pin in it for later episodes, and it's just really, really good. Number 11 on my list is The Initiative. I love this episode because of one scene, and that is a scene with Willow and Spike, where Spike finds out that he can't bite Willow. And they just have this really cute conversation on Willow's bed, because Willow's going through something, and Spike's also going through the whole can't bite anyone thing, and it's just real funny, and I love it. Coming in at number 10 is the award-winning episode Hush. Hush is one of those super creepy episodes, and it's completely in silent. They wake up and they can't speak. There's no talking. There's no talking through the majority of the episode, because everyone's voice has been stolen. So everyone in town can't speak. They can just make noises and write on boards, and it's super creepy because these monsters called the Gentlemen have taken their voices so that they can go out at night and take hearts. And, you know, because they're taking the hearts, they don't want you to scream. There's this whole sing-along thing to go with it. Freddy Krueger inspired song that a little girl sings in one of Buffy's dreams. And it's real creepy, and it's beautiful, and it's no wonder it won awards, because it's on point. It's good. Number 9 on my list is an episode that I watch every single Thanksgiving, and that is the episode Pangs, which takes place on Thanksgiving, and the majority of it is Buffy just trying to have a perfect normal Thanksgiving. But of course, because she's Buffy and they're in Sunnydale and weird things happen, weird things start to happen, and this Native American spirit comes back from the dead and starts attacking people in town. And it's so funny. There's so many different puns and quotes, like quotes that I used to quote on a daily basis. And it's the first episode that Spike shows up at Giles's door. So Spike is in the room while they're shooting arrows, and he's all tied up because they don't want him to, like, hurt anyone. And it's another really great episode, and that's why it's on my list. Number 8 also comes from season 7, and that's the episode Him. Him focuses on this really popular boy who everyone seems to like, and throughout the episode we find out why everyone really, really, really is attracted to or likes this boy. And it's just one of those, like, slapstick kind of episodes that's really, really funny. Where was I? Coming in at number 6 is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical, Once More with Feeling. This episode, my number 2 episode, and my number 1 episode are probably my 3 most watched episodes of all time. Once More with Feeling is good start to finish, beginning to end. The extended director's cut version I watch non-stop. Like, I have everything memorized. I have everything memorized from this episode. I could sing every single one of the songs by heart. I love it. This was one of my favorite introductions to musicals. This was a musical that when people asked me what my favorite musical was, I would answer with Once More with Feeling, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical episode. It was groundbreaking for me. Like, amazing. It's still amazing. It's so wonderful. We get to hear Anthony Stewart Head sing, and we get to hear James Marsters sing, and I already loved James Marsters' singing voice. He has a beautiful voice, and it's so wonderful. I actually auditioned to multiple plays and musicals with songs from Once More with Feeling. Coming in at number 5 is the very first Buffy the Vampire Slayer that I ever watched. I was flipping through the channels because back then there was no Netflix or anything like that. And it was just one night we were flipping through the channels and we happened upon Buffy. And it was just starting. And in the opening credits, a cat jumped out. What I realized later is that that's from The Witch. That one little scene, that one little cat is the reason why I didn't change the channel. That one little cat is the reason why I'm so obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer to this day, because I did not turn away. I was like, oh, it's a kitty. And then I started watching. The episode was School Hard. And this was Spike's first episode. This was the episode where James Marsters made his appearance, where Juliet Landau made her appearance. This was the episode that changed it all. I fell in love with Spike. I wanted to be Drusilla. Like, my life changed forever in that one episode length of time. And that's why School Hard is in my number 5 slot. Number 4 on my list is Restless. Restless is the episode where we get to see the dreams of each of the Scooby Gang. And it's so good. There's so many different cinematic elements to it and little Easter eggs, and it's super cool. This was the last episode before Dawn showed up, and I love that we get to see Tara say be back before dawn, and then the very next episode we're introduced to Dawn. I love that there's callbacks to Faith. There's just so many beautiful little eggs in there. My favorite scene from Restless, though, is during the play, during Willow's dream, when Harmony is trying to bite Giles, but she's too short. So she's just jumping up like a little puppy, growling, trying to bite his neck. One of the funniest scenes in Buffy history, in my opinion. Like,
stop that. Costumes, sets, the things that you hold them, you touch them, use them.
Props?
No. Props? Yes. It's all about subterfuge. That's very annoying.
I love it, and I know it's silly, but with my tall friends, I kinda can't help but do that, and I think it's real cute, but it's probably not real cute because they have no idea what I'm doing. But in my brain, it's cute, and I look just as adorable as Harmony did. One of the monologues that I gave in high school was Buffy's monologue from this scene. But what else could I expect from a bunch of low-rent, no-account hoodlums like you? Hoodlums, yes, I mean you and your friends, your whole sex. Throw them in the sea for all I care. Throw them in and wait for the bubbles. Men with your groping and spitting, all growing, no brain, 3 billion of you passing around the same worn-out urge. Men with your sails. Little something just about everybody knows about me. I quote Buffy when it's not appropriate. I quote Buffy just on the daily without meaning to. If you've ever heard me say something like, oh, that'll put marzipan in your pie plate bingo, or just marzipan. Oh my gosh, marzipan. Marzipan is a Buffy thing. So, for those of you that have heard me say marzipan in response to any question you've had, whether it be something simple or something serious, and I answer marzipan instead of answering you, it's because of the Buffy butt line, that'll put marzipan in your pie plate bingo. And actually, that line comes from homestarrunner.com, which was one of the funniest websites of my teenhood. Trevor the vampire. Poor Trevor.
Oh, Trevor, I pined for you. I'm gonna miss you, bro.
I'm a 90s kid. I'll shut up. Number 3 on my list goes to I Only Have Eyes for You. This is a beautiful episode. The ghost of a student is haunting Sunnydale High School, and he's a vengeful ghost because of the way that he and his lover died. His lover just so happened to be his teacher, and it was a very bad end for the both of them. In my opinion, the way that this episode plays out is so pretty and so beautiful and so well done, and David Boreanaz is an amazing actor, and this episode really shows that, because on the daily he was playing a very menacing character, but in this episode he was able to just snap right into a different persona, and it was beautiful. So beautiful. Watch that episode, watch the scenes, and you'll be able to tell exactly what I'm talking about, because stunning doesn't begin to explain how beautiful that episode is. Number 2 on my list goes to the episode Fool for Love. As I stated before, I was absolutely in love with Spike from the very beginning, so the episode Fool for Love, where we get to hear how he was made a vampire, we get to see what he was like before he became Spike, when he was just William, and called William the Bloody because of his bloody awful poetry. I use the word effulgent all the time. I tell people that they're effulgent when they seem to be gleaming, because effulgent is another word for glowing and gleaming. Buffy things have become part of my vocabulary. But Fool for Love focuses on Spike and Spike's story and how Spike killed 2 Slayers in his lifetime. So we get to see when Spike first became a vampire, and then how he killed his first Slayer, and then how he killed the second Slayer. And we get a look into the life he had with Drusilla, Darla, and Angelus. And then we get to see a different arc of him where he killed the second Slayer in New York on the subway, and it's mind-blowing. It's a mind-blowing episode. It's beautiful. James Marsters does an amazing job. He looked wonderful. Like, just everything about it is everything that I would have ever wanted from a Buffy episode. And then number 1, my number 1 slot, my number 1 of all time favorite Buffy episode goes to Something Blue. In the episode Something Blue, Willow is heartbroken and she does a spell to have her will done. Everything she wills will come true. What she doesn't realize is that the spell actually happened, and it's not, I will this pencil to be unbendy and it just unbends, like Q-tip, not pencil. And it's not just, I will this Q-tip to be unbendy and the Q-tip's suddenly not bent anymore. No. It's more, a passionate will be done. Like to Giles, she says he can't see anything, and then he progressively gets blind. To Buffy and Spike, she's spiteful because Buffy's not spending time with her. She's spending time with Spike because Spike is tied up at Giles' house. And she says, well, if she likes Spike all that much, why doesn't she just marry him? And then the next scene, Spike is proposing to Buffy. It's hilarious. The whole episode is just so funny. And I love that kind of comedy, that ironic, they hate each other, but they're in a scenario where they suddenly love each other. Like, it's so funny. The whole episode is so good, and it's so well written, and it really ties into the inner turmoil that Willow was feeling, and it's my favorite. I think I've watched Something Blue more than any Buffy episode ever. It's perfect. So in conclusion, if you have not seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you're missing out. If you have seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I want to know down in the comments what your favorite episode is. If you haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, tell me down in the comments why you haven't watched it. Tell me if this video changed your mind. I just want you guys to talk to me in the comments, so just drop me a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I do plan on doing multiple Buffy inspired videos because this is the 22nd anniversary year and the 20th high school reunion year. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy these installments. They won't all be lists, but there will be some lists. I'm going to enjoy doing them, and I really hope you guys enjoy watching them as much as I enjoy making them. So that was me counting down my top 20 favorite Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye. Here we go. I need to say that differently.
To Giles, she says that he can't see anyone. So to Giles, she says that...
And because Willow and Amy both dabble in the witch is the reason why I did not change the channel.
And don't forget to like up the video too. That's so unnatural. I don't feel like I should ever say like the video.
And Buffy's just kind of like... And it's just real good and... real good.
With the witch, which was in season 1, we get to... obviously. And it basically tells you the plot of the...
With the witch, which was in season...
And... yeah.
Because on the daily he was paying... Because on the daily he was paying... For the longest time. Number 4 on my list. It's good. I keep saying it's good. And it really just like... They're all really, really good. And then the very next episode we're introduced into... Is that really number 10? Number 11. Alrighty, that fixed that. Oh, you look so sleepy. And we get the...
Yeah.
Number 13 is more... Buffy aired, right? Right. I don't have a thing. So it was like that was just... I love... But that's beside the point. The point. As I said in my intro, this is...
It is... Today's installment will be me cutting down. Nope, not cutting anything down.
The month. Depending on...
And why is there a cowboy in Death of the Salesman anyway?